Okay, Darci's Corner. This is August 30th, 2021. I'm going to ramble a little bit about my religious beliefs and why I think what I think. And if occasionally I get distracted, it's hard to see because it's black, but this is a rabbit here. And she likes to be scratched, she likes to be petted, and sometimes if she thinks you're ignoring her too much, she will bite you and it hurts. So it's hard for me to put all my focus onto this. But this is an important message, I think, that I need to get out there. But it's hard to be real specific when it comes to religion, especially if you're trying to. I mean, how do you quantify that, right? Um, so, my brief background, if you're watching this for the first time and you've never seen my stuff before, is I was raised kind of generic Christian. And then in my 20s, I discovered the Mormon Church. And I've had some really profound, wonderful experiences there. I've felt the Spirit many times. It's prompted me to do things. It's told me to call people, and then I called that person, and they needed help that day. Um, and so I've also seen people be healed. I've seen that happen. Um, but I've also seen the negatives in the church. I'm aware that sometimes bad things happen and they're either ignored or they're covered up or they're just. It's sad when that happens. Um, I'm also aware that the church has a very racist history and a very current homophobic present. Those things are true in the church today, the homophobia. And they try to hide it and they try to pretend that they don't have homophobia. They've only just recently acknowledged my existence in their curriculum. Like, okay, transgender people exist, but they should never transition under any circumstances. They should never take hormones. They should never cross-dress, and they should definitely never have surgeries. I thought you were supporting transgender people. Obviously, you're not if you don't support those things, because we need those things to live our lives properly. Um, And of course, we can never participate in the eternal family because we can't be sealed in the temple. If I can't be sealed in the temple, I can't be with my family forever. If I can never have the priesthood, and as a woman, you can't have the priesthood. But if you were a trans man, so you were born a woman and you became a man, you can't have the priesthood either. I can never marry anybody in the faith, because how can they properly marry me? If I transition to a full woman, if I get the whole full surgeries, even if I have a man's face, if I have the rest of my body as physically a woman, then I could go find a man to love me, and then that wouldn't be gay because now I'm a woman loving a man. But I can't find a man in the church to love me because he couldn't marry me in the temple. I couldn't be sealed to him for time and eternity. If we had children together, adopted or otherwise, like it doesn't, the eternal family isn't for me according to the gospel as it's taught today. So that's a challenge. It's also very disingenuous on their part. They're saying we support you, but if you could become suicidal and kill yourself, that's just unfortunate. Right? I haven't heard Jeffrey R. Holland talk about a pistol and shooting each other or something. I haven't listened to it. It's transphobic and homophobic, my understanding is. And so it'll probably just make me mad. So I'm not. If you go back through the history of the church and go back to the founding, right? Not Joseph Smith so much. I don't remember him saying anything in the doctrine that I read about gender or transgender or the existence of gay people. He may have, but I haven't read anything about that. But I did read a whole bunch of stuff about Brigham Young, because he was the next person who carried the church forward. depending on which version you follow. If you follow the fundamentalist version, Brigham Young was a fraud. But if you believe Brigham Young was the genuine successor to the church, the things he said that were racist were absolutely abhorrent. They were terrible. They were disgusting. So how could a man of God, a genuine prophet of God, believe that your soul had value or not based on your skin color? Right? And many, many, many generations later, they have amended their views on that, and now any race can have the priesthood, and all souls are equal. Well, guess what? Always all souls were equal. Always we were all equal in the eyes of God. So why was Brigham Young wrong about that? And like, they don't advertise that when they're talking to new converts. I was at church yesterday. Today's Monday. And I was at church yesterday, and they played a video that showed this new convert family, and it was a black family, and they're asking all these questions. And, they didn't start off, that family, with, oh, by the way, Brigham Young said, your race is dirty. Your race is not worthy of the priesthood. Brigham Young said things like that. He was one of the founding members of the church. And it was horrible that he said stuff like that. I don't believe that. So fast forward to today, and there are prominent church figures saying that I shouldn't exist, or that somehow my following what I know to be true is somehow against the Lord. And it's not. In modern day Mormon society, one of our prophets who's now passed, Gordon B. Hinckley, was known for building temples. That was what he was known for as a prophet. That was his signature thing. That more temples were built during his presidency than any other. One of the chief architects of those temples is transgender. And she was transgender the entire time she was building those temples. And God knew the entire time. Once her transgender became known, and she decided she didn't want to live a half-truth anymore, she wanted to be all of herself, she was immediately excommunicated. And her video is out there on YouTube today. It's on Mormon Stories or whatever. It's a long video. It's like 3 hours long. There's 3 different sessions of her talking to this guy and talking about her story. And she's not a very good storyteller. She's a wonderful person, but like, to listen to that for 3 hours is difficult. There's a reason I keep mine short. Anyway. But the important takeaway from this is not whether she or I are a good speaker. The important takeaway is that we have always been members of the church. We have always been in the church. There are many would-be devout Mormons right now who are trans. Some of them attend church. Some of them are trans men, meaning they were born women, and they're in with the priesthood. And because they transitioned early in their youth, and if it wasn't known by the congregation already, then it's not known that that person was born female. He looks like the man that he is on the inside. He looks like that on the outside. And honestly, nobody ever actually checks between your legs. So as long as that person looks and sounds proper, they are treated like any other man in the church. And whenever they're asked to do certain things, they decline. And they'll have to explain, I don't actually have the priesthood. I can't do these things. Even though I believe in Christ and I believe in the teachings of the church and eternal family and all other stuff, I can't actually participate in those things. It's really sad. More of us need to stand up. More of us need to go to church and say, this is my church. That is my God. This world belongs to all of us, not just the chosen few who have fall into this perfect little box. Anyway, that's my viewpoint. I may or may not share more of this. I may or may not post this, but I probably will. Being transgender and a person of faith is important. I do have more to say on this, but I'm trying to keep these short, so I'm going to stop for a moment, and there may or may not be more parts to this. If there's not, don't worry. There'll be another day where I talk about religion some more. This Darcy's Corner is out.